Night shifts have a strange silence, not the kind that brings peace, but one that stretches between the beeping monitors, amplifying every hum of electricity into something alive. I'd been working at St. Mercy Hospital, a small facility in upstate New York, for 3 months. That winter night, a blizzard warning hung over the valley, and the wind rattled the metal doors of the emergency ward like it wanted in. It was 2:11 a.m. when I first heard it, a baby crying, soft at first, distant, too distant to be real, but unmistakable. There were no infants in the NICU that night. The maternity wing had been under renovation for years. The sound seemed to come from below, somewhere deep in the building's bowels. "Lena, you hear that?" I asked the paramedic at triage. She pulled out an earbud and shrugged. "Wind in the vents." Happens all the time, but wind doesn't breathe between cries. Wind doesn't whimper. The nightly maintenance report listed one off-limits area. Basement B2, old maternity ward. That floor had been sealed after a flood in 1998. Still, something about that cry, it wasn't just sound, it was memory. I took the service stairs. My shoes echoed off the metal steps as motion sensors blinked on one by one, lighting the narrow descent. B1 smelled like bleach. B2 smelled like mold, rust, and something else, like old cotton soaked in tears. The yellow tape across the door was torn. Cold air seeped from the gap beneath it. I hesitated. A nurse's curiosity is often punished, but sometimes it's all that keeps you sane on nights like these. The door creaked open too easily. The room beyond looked frozen in time, broken lights, dusty bassinets, peeling posters that once said things like "safe sleep" on your back. A broken intercom speaker hung from the wall, stuffed with cotton as if someone had tried to muffle it years ago. Then the cry came again, louder, closer. I raised my flashlight. The sound wasn't above or around me, it was beneath me. The beam swept across the floor until it landed on an old steel crib. Its wheels trembled ever so slightly. I crouched. "Hello?" My voice came back to me in a whisper. I lifted the stained blanket draped over it, and just then, the generator flickered. Lights snapped. The air seemed to vanish. Beneath the blanket lay not a baby, but an old baby monitor, yellowed plastic, cracked screen frozen at 217. The cry came from its tiny speaker, repeating in eerie loops. But there was something else. The same sound echoed half a second later from the vent across the room, as if the building itself was learning the cry. Then the door slammed shut behind me. Metal scraped metal, locked. The monitor hissed, gave one short sob, then a whisper of static. And from the corner, the shadow of a gurney began to move. No one was pushing it, and the lights went out. Darkness changes hospital sounds. Pipes start breathing. Every beep feels too human. When my flashlight flickered back to life, the gurney was closer. The door was ajar again. I grabbed the baby monitor. It was ice cold, but humming faintly as if it still drew power. The time on its cracked display hadn't moved from 217. Upstairs, I told security what happened. Kevin, the overnight guard, always blamed things on the pipes. Still, he followed me down. When we opened the door again, the crying was gone. He examined the intercom. "No wires, base," he said. "Sound probably bounced through the ducts." Then he smirked. "Just a toy, Lena. A toy doesn't carry a timestamp." That morning, I found a number in the old staff directory. Ruiz, maintenance, retired. He'd worked at St. Mercy during the flood. When I called, he didn't sound surprised. "You heard the crying, didn't you?" he said quietly. "In 1998, he went on, something happened down there. Officially, water damage. Unofficially, no one talks about it. In the archives, I found the maternity files, dusty boxes labeled St. Mercy Records, 1998. Inside, a half-written incident report, 2:17 a.m., enter, then nothing. The name signed at the bottom, Head Nurse Ellen Pike. There were Polaroid photos, nurses in blue uniforms holding newborns wrapped in blue and white balloon blankets. One photo showed Ellen smiling, holding a baby swaddled in that same pattern. On the back, Room Lullaby. At the bottom of the box, a sealed gray envelope. Inside, a hospital ID bracelet. Faded black ink read, "Female, 2:17 miles," and a single letter scribbled after it, M. Underneath, nearly invisible, 3 more letters scratched into the plastic, K.A. My own last name begins with those letters, Kaya. Then I noticed something chilling, a tiny stamp pressed into the inside of the bracelet. St. Mercy, Basement B2. No infant band should ever be stamped with a basement level. My phone rang again. E. Pike. "Lena, dear," came her voice, calm and soft. "Are you in the archives?" "Yes, Ellen. Bring the blanket upstairs," she interrupted. "Please, you shouldn't leave it there." "What blanket?" The line went dead. When I stepped out, the corridor was empty. Snowlight filtered through the high windows, pale and ghostly. Then the hospital intercom, supposedly disconnected, crackled on. A baby's cry, distorted, metallic. And over it, Ellen's voice. "Come down, Lena. Bring the blanket. B3, B3. There was no B3 floor. The phone buzzed again, showing internal line, unknown caller. A message flashed. "B3, 2:17, open." Hospital phones can't display text messages. Then I heard it, faint from the stairwell below, the same baby cry forming syllables this time. "Ma-ya." My name isn't Maya. At least I thought it wasn't. If B3 didn't exist, it had to be something else. An old section, a forgotten chamber. Ruiz confirmed it. "There's a crawl space between the laundry and boiler room. We used to call it B3. That's where they tested something new. A system that used infant cries to trigger alarms. Feedback loops made it unbearable." I found the sealed door easily. The sign had long faded, but a small tag still read "Audio Testing Chamber." Inside, shredded soundproof foam, a broken chair, and reels of old tape. One reel was labeled "Lullaby," 2:17, Master. I played it. Static filled the air, then the same cry, mine or someone's, followed by a nurse's whisper and a metallic thud. Finally, a faint voice. "Someone go down there." The door creaked open. Ellen stood there, her eyes tired but knowing. "You shouldn't have found this," she said. "No one should." She told me everything. That stormy night in 1998, the generators failed twice. The new lullaby system was still active, an automatic alert that captured a baby's cry, amplified it, and transmitted it through every floor. But something went wrong. The feedback loop created an echo that paralyzed the staff in confusion. One baby, born to an unidentified woman, was lost in the chaos. The official record said misfiled, but Ellen knew better. "I tried to write the truth," she said, tears glinting. "Then they made me stop. They said, 'Bury it.' Then why the band?" "The initials?" I asked. She touched the worn blanket. "Because I didn't bury all of it." I took one. I couldn't let her disappear like the others. I raised her myself. I called her Maya at first, then Lena after we moved. Two letters stayed on the blanket. The ground beneath me gave way. I, I'm the baby. She nodded. Before I could speak, the wall behind us cracked open. From within the insulation slid a rusted metal box. Inside, dozens of infant ID bands, smudged names, faded timestamps 203, 215, 217, and one tiny golden pendant shaped like half a heart. Ellen whispered, "The other half was yours." Suddenly, from upstairs, the sound began again, the same wail echoing through the empty NICU. We ran. The newborn ward was supposed to be empty, yet in the middle of the room sat a crib covered with that same blue and white balloon blanket. On it rested a small recorder, red light blinking. It wasn't playing the cry, it was recording it. The sound was coming from an unplugged incubator. Inside was not a baby, but a training dummy. Its plastic chest moved in sync with the cries. I touched the glass. The sound stopped. My phone vibrated. A new voicemail. No caller ID. 217. If it's over, open it. A metallic voice whispered. I played it. At first, only the crying, then words formed through static. Not the basement. The well. The well. Back in the basement, near the boiler room, we found a sealed drain, an old maintenance well. We pried it open. The smell of damp concrete and rust rose up. At the bottom, a small metal box. Inside, photocopies of birth records, missing case reports, a few ultrasound photos, and the other half of the heart pendant, marked with a tiny engraved M. Police came. Investigations followed. St. Mercy was shut down for structural repairs, but everyone knew the truth. The past had finally surfaced. Weeks later, Ellen left me a package. Inside was an old cassette labeled 217, Final. I played it. Silence at first, then a sigh, a short, fragile laugh, then nothing. A note fell from the sleeve. She's sleeping now. E.P. That night at home, my wall clock froze at 2:17. From the hallway, a soft sound drifted through. One last gentle cry, fading into a whisper, Maya. It never came again. But every night at St. Mercy's ruins, wind slips through the old vents, carrying with it the faintest echo of that lullaby. And now I understand. The true horror isn't not knowing where the cry comes from. It's knowing and realizing it's been calling you home all along.